real reason to continue fighting, or is it just causing carnage, death and destruction deliberately of Palestinians?
Well, we strongly condemned the terrorist attack on the 7th of October last year, but at the same time, we strongly condemn the way Israel reacted, basically by starting a collective punishment of the Palestinians. I discussed with some Israeli colleagues this issue, and well, not even in the, I think publicly, either the Minister of Defense or some other official from the cabinet, when asked why don't you take measures, so that you prevent the damage to civilians, peaceful citizens, he said there are no peaceful citizens there in Gaza. As of the age of 3, they are all terrorists. And with this philosophy, and when Antonio Guterres condemned the terrorist attack and then added, but it did not happen in a vacuum. You remember what Israeli reaction was? The former ambassador demanded that Guterres resigns. Eventually he was declared persona non grata. Unbelievable. And I don't think Israelis are doing good for their own interests, because this notion that they are terrorists when they reach the age of 3 years, well, this is of course the figure of speech, but for almost 80 years, generation after generation is growing in the situation of occupation and the situation of blockade. And of course, the parents and the teachers at school, they explain the history of the Palestinian people and what happened in 1948. So unless Palestinian state is created, which was, by the way, a precondition for the creation of Israeli state, unless Palestinian state is created, extremism would be breeding and breeding and breeding in the region, there is no doubt. And just to say that we will exterminate all Hamas members, I don't think it's a serious pledge.
How much of a blow is it to Russia that so much territory has been lost in such a short period of time? Because Russia and the Soviet Union before it has been such a big backer of Syria. How much of a blow is it, and will you intervene further militarily, not just diplomatically?
Our country has been a very big backer, not only of Syria, but also of Iraq, of Libya, of Lebanon, and it is not our fault that all the resolutions which were adopted on the Middle East issues, some of them were not adopted. For example, Iraq was bombed out of the statehood without any discussion in the Security Council. It is not our fault that the biggest trend of the modern world, namely the fight against those who want to keep hegemony, and on the other hand, those who would like to live in a free world where the United Nations demand to respect sovereign equality of states, is really implemented, be it BRICS, be it Shanghai Cooperation, be it Gulf Cooperation Council, ASEAN, and many others. So the fight of these two worlds, one phasing out and another one emerging, is not going without clashes. And the conflicts which were adventures, aggressive adventures which were launched by the US and its allies in Iraq, Libya, Palestine, because the behavior of the United States on what is going on in Palestine is absolutely unacceptable, invading Syria, all this is the repetition of the old, very old habit to create some havoc, some mess, and then to fish in the muddy waters. And the Middle East and Europe is not enough already The NATO, under the United States command, pronounced last year at the summit that the security in Euro-Atlantic is indivisible from the security in Indo-Pacific region. So they already eye the entire Eurasian continent, including South China Sea, Strait of Taiwan, the Korean Peninsula. They are creating NATO-like military blocs. NATO infrastructure is being promoted to the region. This is a reflection of attempts not to allow the hegemony to phase out. But this is a fight against history. So yes, we are very much sorry for the Syrian people who became a subject of another geopolitical experiment. We are absolutely convinced of inadmissibility to use terrorists like Hayat Tahrir al-Sham to achieve geopolitical purposes, as it is being done now with the organization of this offensive from the Idlib de-escalation area. But you know, what we do in the world, maybe the mentality is different. The Americans, for them, I know them very well, for them what is important, how they are perceived. And they always want to be perceived number one. When they tell something, everybody must say, yes, sir, whatever Uncle Sam decides. In our case, it's not about being concerned with the impression we make on the people. We do things in which we believe. And if we could help, since 2015, could help to keep the Syrian state apart, if we could organize the process with Iranian and Turkey colleagues, which is called Astana process, and we met today, as you mentioned, this in itself was a very helpful process. Nothing goes smoothly in world diplomacy, but the events which we are witnessing today, they are clearly geared to undermine everything we have been doing during those years. And we are sorry not for the image which people see in the person of the Russian Federation, or me personally, but we are very concerned with the fate of the Syrian people. We don't want them to follow the fate of Iraqis, of Libyans.